2 up in the contract because we have bus companies here, and not to make them sit through all of our policy discussions.
No.
That is so much fun. So exciting.
The rest of us are a captive audience, but you get to flee. So, is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn this over to the superintendent to explain her recommendation.
All right, first of all, I'm going to tell you what my recommendation is and then explain to you why I'm making this recommendation. Okay, we advertised the bid on April 8th. 7 copies were mailed to various transportation vendors. And we had a pre-bid conference, a mandatory pre-bid conference on April 21st. And at that point, there actually, this is 2 vendors, there were 3 vendors. One was a no bid, but wanted to be there to express interest in the future. And the other 2 were First Student Incorporated and Ocean Transit. And then the bids were opened on May 5th, and we received 2 bids, one from First Student and the other from Ocean Transit. Jane has prepared a spreadsheet for you summarizing the sort of the essence of their bids, but we also gave you the backup behind that of the actual pages that they submitted with the various prices. Now, we asked them to submit prices for 2 different options. One would be that we would provide parking for the buses, and the other, if the contractor provided parking for the buses, which, you know, we told them in all likelihood was off the island because we weren't able to identify. That would be the reason that we would go with that sort of bid, because we weren't able to identify a place. Let me go to talk about the parking options, so you'll understand what my bid is. As you know, back in March, we applied and asked to be able to park 10 buses at the DOT lot. It looked like all was moving ahead. We were receiving assurances that it's just, you know, one more vote, one more vote. It has gotten very convoluted from there. And now they're waiting. The latest that we heard on May 18th was they're waiting for 2 pieces to come back from the state intermodal planning. And then she thinks that they're going to have to do a research study to confirm that RIPTA will never need that area. And that isn't a simple question. I've talked with Bruce Kaiser by email, and we both think it's very simple that RIPTA is not going to be expanding anytime in the future, and that lot is really underutilized, which you know, is what we showed them.
Couldn't we make an agreement contingent on RIPTA not needing the space, and then if they do need the space?
But they may have to study times when the lot may be full for some other reasons. Then there's the historic and environmental piece, and they may be able to send this to the feds without this, but let's see, Bill told her that she was told that she was supposed to handle this project, and he said that they can't say it's likely to be approved or not approved until it's final. It was also confirmed that I asked them about, because they said the federal approval, federal transportation was the most difficult to obtain. I said, would it be helpful if, you know, we have some friends in Washington, if they were to, you know, communicate with these people, and she said no, that she didn't think that was a good idea. Because it isn't that kind of a thing. And she can imagine that backfiring. I'm reading this because this was, Jeanette spoke with her and summarized the conversation. Okay, so it's still, they are meeting on May 25th, and it's still possible, a real outside possibility that they might get us onto the agenda. The next meetings are June 8th and June 22nd. The state people have given no estimate on when we can expect to get these pieces back, and she said she went and physically placed it on the desk of the person that was supposed to put. Anyway, the long and short is we may not know anytime soon on this. I'm still optimistic that it's going to pass eventually. However, we need to have a contingency plan. Because when you look at the numbers on how the bids came in,
Yeah, I just
we
looked at how
simply, we
different it
simply
was.
can't afford an extra $30,000 a year over 3 years to let them park our buses. And so I wrote to Bruce and said, the Old Town Hall hasn't sold, and until it does, or we find another place to park, can you authorize our continued use of that lot? Which he did. He did say he's talking with somebody, and if, the price is right, that a sale could be imminent. But that gives us a little hedge there.
And did he have any others, like if that does sell, did he?
Well,
Is there a
meanwhile, we
process
had
to
a new
find
plan
another-
from the rolling agenda, which identified a place that an engineer thought we could park 5 buses. We are going to be meeting with Julie and Lisa on that plan. Frankly, I'm not happy with the spot that they identified, although they said that was clear Indian-wise that we could put 5 buses there, but in this time, and I did talk with Lisa about this, in this time, we need to identify on this property, once and for all, where we can pave and park 10 buses. We need to park all 10, because when we went to RIDE to negotiate making us whole, which, they were saying that our transportation was costing us $122,000 more than we could have done it for. We had to go and prove that to them. And we will have to do that, it appears, every year. And that would be based on our present contract. If our present contract includes parking,
Right.
then in order to negotiate with them, we're going to have to provide parking for their buses as well. Otherwise, they'll park them somewhere else, we'll get charged, and I would say, what's their motivation to go looking for a bargain place to do this? So this would be long-term, just something that I don't think that we ought to set ourselves up for.
Well, it only took 10, 15 years to find a highway barn. I don't know why finding the space
Yeah.
for 10 buses.
I mean,
would be-
Lou had identified the space next to the tennis courts. I've been out there, walked, I think it's a good space, because I think after, we aren't using that during the summer, that there then would be parking for people who wanted to play tennis. It could be used by the town for, at the time, Bruce didn't like that place, but it would need to be cleared by the Indians or whatever. But I think what we need to do is identify the place, get the permits, know that everything's set to go, so that in the event that any of our other options that we're pursuing for parking falls through, that within a month or 5 weeks or whatever, we could get that paved and get those buses onto that. I'm still optimistic about the DOT, maybe midsummer. But we need to award the contract, because as of July 1, the company that we awarded to is going to start providing us summer school transportation. So we really can't wait any longer. And there isn't any guarantee that we would have an answer in June from the DOT either.
Would it be easier to find a place to put tennis courts and park the buses here? I mean, could we put the tennis courts on some other town land and then park the buses on the tennis courts? They'd have to be amended and so forth.
That's a possibility.
Might be a heck of a lot easier than trying to find a place to park buses.
But I mean,
I'm just
town has a
saying.
lot of space.
I hear you. I'm just saying, but this bus thing,
Rather than paving a new area, seems
I agree.
as though-
I agree, but it appears from the message that I'm getting from downtown is that look on your own property. And so, let's do that,
Okay.
identify it, it's not gonna be the ideal, it's not what any of us would want to do.
And it has to be
But
cleared
if you
by
look at the
the-
price tag long
Yeah.
term, we can't afford not to provide parking.
not if it's the parking lot, if it's the tennis courts.
No, you can do a surface thing.
I would think, well, it's already there.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can fit 10 buses there or not.
No.
I don't know.
But there is space if we pave that area next to it, if that were agreeable to the Narragansetts.
I think the whole
Then
school
probably-
property has
Mhm.
that problem, which increases your costs from just even paving, which is already very expensive. So to find a new area, get all the archaeological approvals, as well as paving from scratch, seems a whole lot less cost effective than trying to find a location that would not be
Mhm.
objectionable.